Hey everyone, my name is Joan DiFrancesco and I'm going to cook one of my latest recipes from my book, Food of Naples. You can find it on page 18 and it's called funghi ripieni, which is a stuffed mushroom. So let's cook that book. Okay, so to start this recipe off, we need some mushrooms. So, you know, I love using some large cups. You can use some buttons, just depending on what type of mushrooms you like using. Really, it's entirely up to you. But before we start with the mushroom, what we need to do is clean them. So, and what do I mean by cleaning is just peel off the skin. And as you can see, it's really simple, right? So I'm just peeling the skin back. Now, most people will throw the skin away. I don't throw it away, right? You want to retain it because we're going to chop it up with the stalk. Now, what we're going to do also is we're going to get the stalk of the mushroom and just gently break it off. Now, we want to keep this, right? So we're going to peel and take the stalk off each of the mushrooms, and then we're going to chop the stalk. Okay, so I've pulled off all or cleaned the mushroom and pulled the stalk off. Now what we want to do with the mushroom, because it's really important, okay, because if I keep this aside, what will happen is the mushroom will begin to brown, and I don't want that to happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get one lemon and I'm just going to chop it in half. And what I'm going to do is rub the lemon juice right around the whole mushroom. Now what this is going to do, it's not going to allow the mushroom to brown. Okay, so really simple. Now once I've done this, what I'm going to do is now begin to chop up the stalk, because the filling of the mushroom, which is the ripieno, is going to consist of mushroom, a bit of parsley, a little bit of Parmesan cheese. Gonna have some egg to combine, but we'll go through all that. So what we do is now the easiest way to chop the stalk is like hold the stalk and just cut through it in one direction. Be really careful, then turn it over, and again we are going to cut through it the same direction. This is the tricky part, is I'm going to hold the mushroom stalk all together, and what I'm going to do is just chop. So we're getting some fine cubes. Okay, so once we've cut all the mushroom stalks together, what we're going to do is we're going to place them into a frying pan. But before we do that, we need to also add half an onion. So really simple, cut the onion in half, and we'll take the skin off. Now, cutting an onion can be quite tricky sometimes, but a really simple way is if you hold the onion down, what we do is we place the knife on the bottom and we guide right through. So I've gone right through the bottom of the onion. Now I'm going to do that, leaving probably like half a centimeter in between each cut, and I'm going to continually all the way to the end. So not cutting right through, leaving it still intact. As you can see, if I lift the onion, it's still intact. So I'm going to do that probably about 4 or 5 cuts. I then am going to turn the onion facing myself, and I'm going to cut straight down. So all we need to do is make some cuts through the onion. Then I'm going to turn it over again, and this is how we create some cubes. So if you've ever seen chefs create some diced onions really quickly, this is how it's done. It's not that difficult, okay? So we have our onions, we have our mushroom stalks, and we're going to place all of this into our frying pan and we'll fry them off. Okay, so I've diced my onions, and now what we need to do is cook the onions off first. So we want to cook them until they're quite transparent before we add the mushroom stalks, the diced mushroom stalks. So we're going to add some oil and allow the pan obviously to heat up, and then we are going to add the onions into the pan. Now you want this on a low to medium heat. You don't want to burn the onions, so keep it at a low medium heat, just really simmering the onions. It's really important. Okay, so I've sauteed the onions off, and I've made them quite transparent and quite soft. Now, that's taken probably about 10 minutes on a really low heat. And what we're going to do now is we're going to add the mushrooms in, because they won't take too long. The mushrooms are going to cook quite quickly. Now, you'll find that the mushrooms may release a little bit of water, but don't stress. You want it to be a little bit liquidy. That way, when we add the rest of the ingredients in there, we're going to soak everything up. And those beautiful flavors from the mushrooms, you know, you can really taste it. So we're just cooking off the mushrooms now. Now, just to keep in mind, to do this recipe, you want to use either a button or a cup. You can't use any other type of mushrooms, or really any mushroom that is easily stuffed. So it's entirely up to you. This recipe can be adapted to any mushroom that can be stuffed. So today we've used a nice large cup, which I absolutely love. Okay, the mushrooms now are getting quite soft. I'm going to deglaze with some of my favorite wine. Well, is this my favorite wine? It's probably white is one of my favorite. I do love some red wine, but with this recipe, we want to put some white wine. And all we're doing is deglazing. We're going to cook off the wine, and then we're quite ready to stuff the mushroom, really. Okay, so now I've cooked off the onion, I've cooked off the mushroom, and what we're going to do, and I've deglazed. So what we're going to do now is we're going to place this mixture into a bowl. Now, what I'm going to do is just allow it to sit a little bit and, you know, just cool down for a little bit. But in the meantime, what we're going to do is we're going to prep some of the parsley. So just going to use some leaf parsley, and really just chop the parsley rough. Doesn't have to be too fine, you know. Bunch it up, you know, and just really chop away. And that's it. Okay, so we're gonna go back to the mix, and I'm gonna grab the parsley and I'm gonna just drop it straight into the mix. Now, at this stage, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some breadcrumb. The reason why I'm going to add breadcrumb, again, I want to absorb a little bit of the moisture, so I don't want it too wet. So just a little bit of breadcrumb, and I would start off with half the amount first, because once we add the egg, then we can adjust and really see whether we need to put a little bit more, or you know, or if it's enough. So at this stage as well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to zest a little bit of lemon. So I'm going to grab this perfect little tool here and just zest it away. So just half, really just half a lemon, not too much. Don't need to put too much in there. That's beautiful. Now, I just like to leave it nice and whole. That way we get the full flavor of the zest. We're going to add some Parmesan cheese. And one egg. An egg open. And what we're going to do now, I'm going to mix all these ingredients together, but really, really important is not to over mix, because what's going to happen is it's going to become a paste. What we want to do is not have a paste mixture. We want to have a loose mixture. So what I would suggest is just fold all the ingredients together, as I'm doing. Now, as we can see, the mixture is still a little bit wet. So this is the stage where I start adding the rest of my breadcrumb. Again, just a little bit at a time. Now, I love Parmesan cheese, so you know what? I'm gonna put all of it in there because I absolutely love Parmesan. Again, just mixing away, just folding. Perfect. Now, at this stage, what I'm going to do is taste, okay? So you probably noticed I didn't add any salt or any pepper into the cooking process, because we want to taste at the end. If you add the salt and the pepper at the beginning, then it's going to give you a false or you could possibly oversalt, especially when you're reducing produce. So a bit of cracked pepper, love pepper, and some beautiful salt. So a pinch. There we go. And again, just folding away. So you've done that. The most important part, before we fill the mushrooms, we have to taste. You must taste everything before you finalize your cooking or serving it, right? There we go. Amazing. For me, a little bit more salt. So that's the reason why we want to taste our food, just so that we're tasting and we're salting to taste. Perfect. Now we're gonna stuff our mushrooms. Okay, so I've got my filling done. I've tasted it, tastes awesome. Now I've got my mushroom and I'm gonna begin filling my mushroom. So pretty simple, just place the filling in the center. And again, not squashing it down into the mushroom, just placing it nice and even, like that. God, I could eat that raw. And we are going to place, as I said, I love cheese, so we're gonna place a little bit of Parmesan over the top. We're gonna place this on a tray with some baking paper, and we're gonna place these into the oven. We'll see in a few minutes. Off we go. Okay guys, this is the time I've been waiting for now. Been waiting about 10-15 minutes. We've got our stuffed mushrooms ready to come out of the oven. I can't wait because I'm starving. God. Oh, look at those. Have a look at those mushrooms. You can see the moisture. They're just cooked beautifully. Oh, I can't wait to dig into these. I'm gonna get my beautiful pink spatula because it goes well with my look. And we're going to place these on the board. Really simple dish. Vegetarian, anyone can eat it. Even non-vegetarian people are gonna love this dish, trust me. There we go. Get myself a knife, and I'm going to get myself a spoon because I don't have a fork. So definitely, definitely need to try this. Oh. I can feel the crunch in the Parmesan that's just crisped up over the top, the softness in the mushroom, the onions, you can barely taste them. It's like they've just gone so soft that they've given this flavor to the whole filling. This is seriously one of the most nicest dishes. It's probably one of my favorite, I can tell you. So guys, try this at home. You're gonna love it. I'm gonna serve this up to all my very good friends at house.